There's no other way to say it, okay? Parenting is not easy. Raising kids is both adorable and tough at the same time, and unfortunately, there's no shortcut to being a good one. You've got to understand that there will be bad days and horrible fights, but there will also be bonding moments and wonderful days. Now let's face the age-old question, is it possible to raise and educate your kids the right way? Well, of course there is. And fortunately for you, we've done the heavy lifting, so here are 15 ways smart parents educate their kids. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Number 1, they educate their children to be empathetic. Did you know that one of the best ways to mold your child into being a good person is to encourage empathy? Empathy allows your children to imagine how another person is feeling. It helps them to put themselves in another person's shoes. For instance, your child might argue with their best friend, but right before they both walked away from each other, your child said something that was a little too harsh. Rather than outright tell your kid to apologize, tell them to imagine how those words made their best friend feel. Then when your child recognizes this emotion, help them to navigate their emotions and show them how to best reconcile with their best friend. You can teach empathy anytime a fight happens between siblings, and this is also a definite way to build a stronger bond between your kids. Number 2, they teach them good manners. Does your child say thank you after you do something really kind for them? Do they say please when they need your help with something? If they do, then you're on the right path to raising mannered individuals. You definitely don't want your kid to be that person who never appreciates the efforts of others, or a person who speaks harshly at people when things don't go their way. Always keep in mind that you're raising a child that'll eventually become an adult that has to interact with several other individuals every single day. You would want them to treat people with respect even when you're not watching. Also, remind them that they aren't well-mannered because they want to be respected in return. They should be well-mannered because it's the right thing to do. Number 3, they discipline their children. Smart parents understand the importance of discipline and how it shapes the life of a child. They don't tell their kids it's fine when they misbehave. What they would rather do is discipline their kids with love. Now, discipline is quite a tricky one. You want to make sure you don't criticize your child too harshly, and also make sure you don't sound too playful, so they think it's a joke or something. The secret is consistency. Don't discipline bad behavior today and let it slide tomorrow. When your child notices this consistency and discipline, it creates predictability, which makes it a lot easier for your child to follow the rules. Number 4, smart parents boost the self-esteem of their children. Children with the right self-esteem will go on to become confident adults who are confident in their own skin and believe in their abilities. Less smart parents make the mistake of thinking that their harsh words and lack of compliments will help their kids to develop thicker skins. But the truth is, it does the exact opposite. It causes these children to have an incredibly low self-esteem. Instead, compliment your kids, even if their accomplishments seem like a pretty easy task to you. You're a grown-up, it's not about you. It may not mean a lot to you, but it will mean the world to them. Remember how proud you felt when your parents commented on your painting skills, even though it didn't look so great? Do not let your kids miss out on this feeling. It has an immense effect on their self-esteem. And also, always remind them that everyone makes mistakes, but you love them despite those mistakes, even if they don't love themselves at the moment. Number 5, they make time for their kids. How do you expect to educate your kids if you barely spend any time with them? Have you got an excuse for that? We bet you would mention your work and how you work so hard because of them. And while that sounds good, it's not a good reason to not spend time with your kids. Kids love to have their parents around. They love to sit with you every morning and have breakfast. They want attention from you. Do you typically have busy mornings? Well, why not wake up a little bit earlier than usual so you can spend a few minutes with them? How about having a night every week where your kids decide what the entire family does? As we earlier mentioned, this also might not sound like a big deal to you, but it would mean the entire world to your children. Number 6, they are great role models. Remember what we said about parenting being difficult at the start? Well, here's another example. It's not simply about educating your children. You also have to practice what you preach in front of them. If you want your kids to be kind and respectful to people at all times, then you have got to be kind and respectful yourself. This is because little kids learn a ton of habits from their parents, especially if they're too little to form their own opinions about life. So what do? Well, they watch you. Monkey see, monkey do, my friend. If you want to see certain qualities in your children, then make the effort to infuse those qualities into your own life. It's only a matter of time before they pick up on this quality from you. Number 7, they communicate. As with literally every kind of relationship, communication is an important part of parenting, as it's an important way for parents and children to express their feelings about certain situations. Now, you've got to understand that sometimes kids won't do everything you say just because you say so. They need to know why, and when you fail to explain, they start to doubt your values, wondering if it matters at all. Want your kid to stop lying? Well, then explain why you want them to. Express your feelings and encourage them to express theirs. In fact, you and your kid can come up with more creative ways to solve problems when you talk about it. Number 8, they are flexible. Every child is unique, so there are no universally accepted parenting methods that work for every child. And some methods will work at one point and not at another. But when it doesn't work anymore, smart parents are always flexible enough to switch things up. Here's how you can work on that. Stop thinking in shoulds. Don't say stuff like, my child should be walking by now, or they should understand what I mean. Instead, work to understand your individual child and then discover what works for them. This way, you have changed your parenting style without your child even noticing. And if they do notice, especially if they're in their teenage years, that's totally fine. Tell them that you're willing to talk about it if they don't mind. Number 9, they're not afraid to be kids themselves. If you're a parent, then you already know that there will be times when you'll have to also become a child. It could mean singing a silly song, doing a funny dance, or even dressing up to make them laugh. Smart parents know that this is a great way to connect with their kids, hence they don't hesitate becoming just like a big child. Do the silly thing, Aluxer. At first it might feel kinda weird, but we are sure that you'll be cracking yourself up and your child in minutes. Number 10, they encourage their kids to read. Some parents think reading to their kids is nothing but a quick way to make them fall asleep, but it is way more than that. When you read to little kids, you're helping their brains develop while also improving their imagination. And reading helps them develop their language and vocabulary skills, and they also help parents build stronger relationships with their children. But it's not just about reading. Tell your kids stories about your childhood, or a funny story about when they were a baby or how you met their other parent. It could also be a story about their birth. Just make sure it's interesting enough for them. Number 11, they never hit their kids. Now, there's a chance that you might have gotten a little spanking as a kid. Unfortunately, some people get more than a little. And while on the surface, corporal punishment might look like it works, it doesn't. Sure, you may never do the incriminating behavior again, but it wasn't because you learned a lesson and won't do it again, it was because you're afraid of being hit. Spanking only provides short-term solutions to a problem. It's never the right way to educate your kids about a certain bad behavior. Instead, spanking will cause your kids to fear you, which in turn suggests they might do it again and avoid being caught by you. Also, when you hit your children, you're sending the message that they can solve problems through violence. And as a parent, you know how that ends. It only results in more people getting hurt. So no matter how bad things get, discipline your child but never hit them in the process. Number 12, they understand their goals. How do you educate a child if you don't know what the end goal of the entire process is? Do you want them to be compassionate and kind and do well in school? If so, make sure you always keep this at the back of your mind. Most parents just try to get through the day. They don't allow these end goals to reflect their daily encounters with their children. But if you want your child to be the smartest in the class, then you've got to go the extra mile for their academics. You could choose one day a week to focus on seeing how well they're doing and help them to study if necessary. If you start this off at a young age, they'll be totally used to it when they get older. Number 13, they educate themselves. Your kid isn't the only one who needs education. You do too. There's a ton of research materials available on the internet for parents to understand the psychology of their little kids. Information which wasn't readily available when we were all growing up. Now, perhaps you can't understand why your kid is behaving in a certain way. Well, there's probably an entire blog somewhere dedicated to helping you understand this specific behavior. So take the time to seek out this psychological and neuroscience research targeted at little kids. It'll help you to understand them better, which in turn will affect how you educate them. Number 14, smart parents remind their kids about their love for them. Your kids need to constantly know that you love them, and this is even more important when they make mistakes or misbehave. As we mentioned earlier, they have to know that mistakes are a necessary part of every process, and even though it sucks, it doesn't change the fact that you love them so much. But it's more than just saying, "I love you." You also have to show this through your actions. Take them to their favorite restaurant and let them have a good time every once in a while. If there's anything we're 100% sure of, we know that kids never forget those moments. Number 15, they give their kids responsibilities. We know what you're thinking. Is it a good idea to burden kids with responsibilities? Wouldn't they get more than enough of that as adults? Well, how would they handle responsibilities as adults if they never had them as children? Giving kids little tasks around the house helps them to develop a sense of responsibility, and when they complete these tasks, they feel accomplished. Then, when you say how proud you are of them, it makes them feel even happier and more willing to take on more responsibilities. And just like we said, it makes them better equipped to deal with responsibilities when they grow up to be adults. And on that note, Aluxer, we're wrapping this one up here for today. At this point, we hope you see parenting in a slightly different light. A little bit difficult, but still one of the best things you can experience. Did you watch the video up until this point? Well, if you did, you're a true Aluxer and you're getting a bonus. Number 16, they take care of themselves. Hey, you're doing a great job raising those kids. It might not seem like it right now, but it will very soon. And this is why you also have to take care of yourself too. If you're not mentally or physically balanced, then you won't do a good job at educating your kids. So you need to pay just as much attention to yourself. Come on, Aluxer, you deserve that. And there you go. Have you got any other interesting smart parenting tips? Because we would love to hear them from you in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video, Aluxer. If you found it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel and joining our awesome community. And if you're still hungry for more, we handpicked this video for you to watch next. Or head over to our website for more amazing content. See you tomorrow.